This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Detroit's automakers should get out of China ASAP. That's according to Wall Street Bank of America analyst John Murphy. He says the price war there, the surge in Chinese EV automakers, and other factors mean that GM, Ford, and Stellantis will struggle to make a profit. Murphy says they'd be better off concentrating on areas where they can make money and invest that money into electric vehicles. China used to be GM's largest market. It sold more vehicles and made more profit than anywhere else. But not anymore. GM sales in China have plummeted, and it actually lost over $100 million there in the first quarter. Ford lost $600 million in China last year, and Stellantis only sold 69,000 vehicles in 2023. But it's unlikely that the Detroit 3 will abandon China anytime soon. GM says it's an important part of its growth strategy. Stellantis is using Leap Motor as the core of its EV offensive. Ford is likely to leverage its relationship with Chang'an for lower costs, and they're all using China as a major export hub. Toyota chairman Akio Toyoda easily won re-election from shareholders, but he's losing support. In 2022, 96% of shareholders supported his election as chairman. Last year, that dropped to 85%, and this year, it was only 72%. While any politician would call 72% approval a landslide, it's shockingly low for any Japanese chairman, and especially one named Toyoda, who's the grandson of the company's founder. Analysts say it's foreign investors that are unhappy with Akio's leadership. And some of those investors recommended against re-electing Akio due to governance concerns and vehicle certification testing scandals in Japan. Not surprisingly, Chinese automakers are not happy about the EU slapping tariffs on their EVs made in China. And now state media reports out of China say that Chinese OEMs are urging the government to retaliate. They want higher tariffs on imported European vehicles with larger gasoline engines. Last month, the Global Times reported that China was considering a 25% tariffs on vehicles with engines 2.5 liters or larger, which would be up from 15%. Last year, European automakers shipped 196,000 vehicles with engines 2.5 liters or larger from the EU to China, and that was up from 11% from 2022. But through the first months of this year, shipments of the same vehicles have dropped 12%. And China is already developing workarounds to any European tariffs. In Morocco, it's building a supply chain for lithium iron phosphate batteries where there's an abundance of phosphate. Europe doesn't currently have any LFP supply chain. Morocco also has free trade agreements with Europe and the US, so that supply chain could easily support those markets. And Chinese automakers already have a big cost advantage. Bloomberg New Energy Finance says Chinese battery companies can make LFP batteries for half the cost of the global average. Just like the BMW 3 Series sedan, the X3 is going hybrid only. Both the 2-liter gas and diesel engines and the 3-liter straight 6 now feature 48-volt technology. That 6-cylinder in the X3 M50 sends nearly 400 horsepower to all four wheels, helping it go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.6 seconds. There's also a plug-in hybrid version that uses the gas 2-liter engine, and when combined with an electric motor, it makes nearly 300 horsepower. Its roughly 20 kilowatt-hour battery pack returns a WLTP range of about 80 to 90 kilometers or 50 to 55 miles. Styling is another big update for the new X3, which hadn't seen a major update since 2017, and it gets BMW's latest operating and infotainment systems. That's highlighted by large digital displays for the driver and in the center of the dash. The model will be made in the US and South Africa, and sales start kicking off in the fourth quarter of this year. Eventually, there will be a new all-electric iX3, but it will be built on BMW's new class platform, so it's completely different from ICE-based models. Those new class EVs are scheduled to start production sometime next year, which we think will be the new iX3, and it will likely have some styling inspiration from the new Class X concept. The Land Rover Freelander is being revived as an electric-only brand in China. The Freelander SUV was built between 1997 and 2015 and was succeeded by the Discovery Sport. But Jaguar Land Rover and its joint venture partner in China, Chery, are reviving Freelander to create a lineup of electric vehicles based on Chery's EV architecture. The models will be produced at the joint venture's existing plant in China. At first, the EVs will be sold in China, but they'll roll out to other global markets in the future. To hell with emissions fines, Jeep is bringing back the V8 Wrangler for another year. Rated at 14 miles to the gallon combined, the Wrangler 392, the quickest and most powerful Wrangler ever made, will get a second model year thanks to, quote, popular demand. But it's only bringing back the final edition, which has a number of upgrades and a hefty price tag, and is probably the reason it's bringing it back. The 2024 final edition had a starting price over $100,000, so the 2025 model should be about the same, which probably also makes it the most expensive production Wrangler ever made. And speaking of hefty price tags, Reuters reports that Ferrari will charge at least 500,000 euros for its first electric car that's going to launch late next year. The average Ferrari price in the first quarter of this year was about 350,000 euros. But even with that price gap, it expects a big bump in sales, from less than 14,000 last year up to about 20,000. The electric Ferrari will be built in a new building dedicated to the model at its factory in Maranello. A Canadian company called Tyromer has figured out a way of recycling tires that doesn't use any chemicals or additives. Instead, it devulcanizes used tires and turns them into a new rubber compound that can be used to make new tires. And this isn't some idea that needs to be developed. It's already in production with factories in Canada and the Netherlands, which can recycle 1,000 kilograms an hour. Plants in the US and India are also being built. The recycled rubber can be used to make a variety of products as well, including conveyor belts and shoe soles. 75% of all rubber comes from Asia, and Tyromer says its process can provide supply chain stability, lower costs, and slash CO2 emissions. It's currently looking for other companies that want to license its technology. But that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. MEDC, where Michigan businesses are powering the future of mobility. Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility. And by ZF.
Michigan is leading the charge in mobility and innovation, and I can't think of a better state to be in.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
Intrepid's NeoVi Pi, allowing automotive engineers to interface, capture, and monitor vehicle data using Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, it's the automotive industry's first robust platform for Raspberry Pi, featuring Intrepid CAN-FD technology and Raspberry Pi compute module. The NeoVi Pi is designed for automotive environments, allowing use with relative power ranges and applications. In addition, the NeoVi Pi enables you to use the Raspberry Pi for compute while avoiding additional development to adapt to network environments. That makes the NeoVi Pi powerful enough to solve your vehicle network problems yet small enough to fit in your backpack. One of many Intrepid tools used for developing zonal architecture and software-defined vehicles.
Knowing that when it's time to unplug, your tires were built to get you to the place you recharge. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza EV tires with a 50,000-mile limited warranty.